Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a magnifying glass to a massive internet mystery. You've probably seen it scrolling through your feed, this highly circulated, super colorful thermal image that claims to show exactly how an electric vehicle compares to a gas-powered car under a high-tech infrared lens. I mean, it looks highly scientific, right? It looks undeniable. But what if I told you it's actually a carefully constructed illusion? We're going to unpack exactly why this viral sensation is entirely fake, and more importantly, what the real science actually tells us.
But first, let me just ask you a quick question to kick things off. Can a thermal camera really see through glass? Just keep your answer to that tucked in the back of your mind as we go. Because honestly, this single concept is the master key that unravels this whole viral phenomenon. Today, we're challenging what you think you know about infrared technology, decoding the truth hidden behind the pixels, and learning how to navigate an internet that's just full of visual tricks.
Okay, so here is our roadmap for the explainer today. First up, the impossible image. Second, spreading misinformation. Third, we'll get into the actual science. And finally, spotting fake claims. Let's dive right in. Section 1, the problem, the impossible viral image. You know, the internet absolutely loves a good side-by-side comparison. And recently, this specific image blew up on a popular forum, claiming to show a true thermal representation of an EV parked right next to a gasoline car. Visually, it's really striking. You've got these aggressive reds contrasting against cool blues. But take a look at this number, because it brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the problem we're dealing with here. 15,000 upvotes. That is how fast this single post gained immense traction online. Thousands upon thousands of people saw this, believed it was a factual representation of thermodynamics, and validated it. It really just goes to show how easily a compelling but completely inaccurate graphic can capture the public's imagination, totally bypass our critical thinking, and spread like absolute wildfire. But hey, thankfully, the internet is also packed with some incredibly sharp-eyed skeptics. There was this swift, crowdsourced detective work from anonymous commentators who immediately began tearing the image apart. As one user bluntly put it, this aggressively stupid image is wrong. People who actually understand the physical properties of light, heat, and automotive engineering, well, they instantly recognized that what was being presented wasn't just slightly off, it was fundamentally physically impossible. Moving on to Section 2. Pain points, spreading scientific misinformation. So why did so many well-meaning people fall for this? Basically, this fake image perfectly preys on our everyday misunderstandings about physics. We look at it and our brain goes, well, engines are hot and brakes get hot, so yeah, this must be what it looks like to a special camera. It looks just sciencey enough to fool us. But take a look at this quote from a professional commentator who deals with thermal tech every single day. They said, "This looks like a merged black hot with thermals, but someone used MS Paint to put the thermals on the picture." What they're saying is that the creator likely took a real visual style, something called black hot thermal imaging, where heat shows up as dark shades, and essentially just painted bright, completely falsified neon colors right over it using basic digital editing software. It is literally pure digital manipulation mimicking reality. Which brings us to the most glaring, undeniable error of the whole thing. Remember that question I asked you earlier? The false claim pushed by the image is that thermal lenses act like some kind of superhero X-ray vision, showing heat sources straight through the car windows and dashboard. But the actual science? Glass is highly opaque to infrared light. A real thermal camera pointing at a car window acts much more like a mirror. It actually reflects the thermal energy of the environment around it. It absolutely does not look right through the glass. So the fact that you could clearly see detailed, brightly colored shapes inside the car through the windows? Yeah, that was the ultimate dead giveaway. Then we have what I like to call the glowing wheels mystery. The image showed the front tires and wheels of the electric vehicle glowing this brilliant, blazing red and yellow, literally identical to the massive heat output of the internal combustion engine parked right next to it. And this caused genuine confusion online. One viewer even commented that they'd heard EV tires need replacing more often and just assumed this fake thermal image was actual proof of the intense heat destroying the tires. I mean, wow, it really shows exactly how fake images create completely false real-world narratives, doesn't it?
Okay, Section 3, Solutions, the actual science. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it's time to finally pivot away from the deception and look at reality. Let's empower ourselves with the actual physics of how these incredible machines operate. We're going to start by debunking those mysteriously glowing electric vehicle wheels. Here is a reality check. Regenerative braking. This is a system where the electric motor effectively runs in reverse to slow the vehicle down and recover kinetic energy. It does this instead of relying purely on clamping down with physical friction brakes. Because EVs utilize regenerative braking so heavily, they actually use their traditional brake pads significantly less than a gas car does. That means their wheels would generate far less heat under normal driving conditions. So those blazing red wheels on the EV in the image? A total 100% fabrication. And let's look at the lighting on the vehicles for a second. The fake image showed the EV's brake and taillights blazing with this intense, high-level thermal energy. But again, the actual science tells a completely different story. Modern electric vehicles, and actually most modern cars in general, use LED lighting. LEDs are highly energy efficient and notoriously cool to the touch. They simply do not put out the kind of thermal radiation that would light up an infrared camera like an engine block. Furthermore, as one really eagle-eyed observer pointed out, if the rear lights were truly that hot, the third brake light in the window should have matched perfectly, but it didn't even register.
So let's bring all this evidence together and play a little Mythbusters here. The glass? The fake image shows it as see-through. Reality dictates it's opaque to infrared. The lights? Blazing hot in the fake, super cool LEDs in reality. The EV wheels? Glowing red in the fake, completely cool due to regenerative braking in reality. And guys, my absolute favorite detail, the gas car. In the fake image, there's absolutely zero heat signature at the back of the gas car. Just think about that for a second. In reality, a running internal combustion engine produces massive amounts of heat right at the tailpipe exhaust. The forger completely, literally forgot to paint in the exhaust heat. It's a dead giveaway.
Which brings us to Section 4. Suggestions, spotting fake digital claims.
Now that we've totally deconstructed this one viral image and learned the actual physics behind why it's completely bogus, how can you avoid falling for these digitally altered, pseudoscientific claims as they become more and more common? Well, here is your personal toolkit for verifying digital images moving forward. First up, always check for physical impossibilities. If a thermal camera is magically seeing perfectly through a solid glass windshield, you should be highly, highly suspicious. Second, question uniform or unrealistic heat spreads. Like some commentators noted, heat just doesn't transfer efficiently through the empty airspace in car fenders to perfectly light up the outside metal. Third, look for missing expected signatures, just like that missing exhaust heat we just talked about. And finally, trust your eyes to spot digital artifacts. Does it look like crude, bright MS Paint colors layered over a black and white photo? Because if it looks like a cartoon, it probably is one. And that brings us to our final and perhaps most important thought. As digital manipulation tools become faster, easier, and accessible to absolutely anyone, how will you verify the science you see scrolling your feed tomorrow? The next viral image might not be quite as incredibly clumsy as this car comparison, right? So I highly encourage you to use the tools we discussed today. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and never stop hunting for the actual facts beneath the surface. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.